Hello friends and welcome into NBA Now. Just me today, your host Tom Downey, nobody else alongside me. We're still going to take you through all of the latest around NBA free agency, the news, the signing, the rumors, and of course the thing you guys are already talking about in the chat, the trades. And we'll start off with Russell Westbrook, the trade rumors. Funny how the NBA gods take away Kawhi Leonard from us, but immediately give us the Russell Westbrook trade discussions there. Now, the Thunder and Westbrook camps are going to discuss a trade. That's going to happen at some point, not necessarily today, but down the road they'll break it down because it really makes some sense for both sides here. Number one, the Thunder did discuss a Russell Westbrook trade with the Toronto Raptors. Now, the reports were more that deal was kind of leveraged as part of the Paul George to the LA Clippers deal, but still, it was discussed there. And the Thunder, as a result of trading away Russell, are very clearly entering a rebuilding stage. Let's be frank here. A core consisting of Westbrook, Adams, and the rest of that team, Terrence Ferguson, Gallinari, Grant, I like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who we'll get to more here in a second, but that core is not good enough to win an NBA title. Frankly, it might not be good enough to make the playoffs in the loaded Western Conference. So that doesn't make sense for the Thunder to continue to pay up near the luxury tax there, and doesn't make sense for the Thunder. So at that point, they would probably trade away Russ. And of course, one of the key pieces they got back from the Paul George trade, beyond all of those picks, was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So he's your point guard of the future if you're Oklahoma City, unless you want to ship him away, which I don't really think that they want to do. So at that point, probably makes more sense for the Thunder to embrace a rebuilding period here. Remember, they gave up Paul George, they got back all kinds of picks, Gallinari, SGA. So for the Thunder, it does make sense to ship away Westbrook. I know maybe the hardcore OKC fans are a bit disappointed by that because it means your championship window is over, but you're not good enough to compete with the Clippers, with even the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Jazz even. Maybe it does make more sense then to embrace a rebuild, and if that does happen, well, there will be interest in adding Russell Westbrook. So here's my question, folks. Will Russell Westbrook be traded? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'll allow these votes to flow in here, and then I'll give some shout-outs as well. So type Y for yes, type N for no. I think yes. I think at some point, although Chris Jones was the first vote in, he said no. James, Zion's watching, Florida Man, Tyler, Nicholas, Darling, Gia, Tony, Cringeworthy, Michael, Buck, Jay, Lee, Tyler, Ian. Almost everyone says Y for yes. And I agree. I do think Russell Westbrook gets traded. So then the question becomes, okay, what team is going to pull the trigger here? Again, it makes sense for these sides to part ways. Now on the plus side, Russell Westbrook was an MVP not that long ago. He's still only 30, and he can still be, I think, at least above average point guard. I think it's well above that, frankly. And there are some teams that have been linked to Russ. The problem is here for Westbrook and for any potential trade, the contract. Westbrook is an expensive player. He's going to count, and we'll break down the numbers here in a little bit. He counts well over $38 million a year going forward. It's really closer to 40 on average. That contract makes it difficult. Means teams just can't trade him in. Like $38.5 million this year, then it gets to 41, 44, and 47. So Westbrook's contract is difficult for a team to absorb because you have to make the money work out, and normally that means you're only giving up really good players as well. And if not, you're sending on picks. And then B, that's a lot to pay for any player. Now, there are several teams who have been linked beyond just the speculation. I see you playing that in the chat. We'll get more into that in a little bit here. But there are 3 teams that have been linked in actual reports as having interest in a Russell Westbrook trade. The first one, the Miami Heat. Many of you Heat fans wanted Bradley Beal. Or no, I should say want Bradley Beal. That's pretty tough to pull off. But a Russell Westbrook trade is actually a little bit easier. The Detroit Pistons, they've been linked to Russ. And then also the Houston Rockets. More on them in a little bit. But first up for the Miami Heat, of course, they traded for Jimmy Butler. That was a big move on their part. The Miami Heat, meanwhile, you can put together a package focused on Goran Dragic. You can throw in Dion Waiters there. If you need to make the money work a little bit more, you have James Johnson, Kelly Olynyk, Miles Leonard. So that does work for the Thunder. The biggest problem is, if you're the Heat, you don't have the picks to trade. That's the biggest problem. Dragic and Waiters and Johnson, that's not really all that intriguing to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Surely Russell Westbrook would be worth more than that, even with the contract side of things. So that's the issue there when it comes to the Miami Heat. Now let's move on to the Detroit Pistons. They're next up here. They also have interest. I think that makes sense. Look, Reggie Jackson, the former Thunder player himself, is actually pretty doable. $18 million is a good start there. You have Tony Snell. You could include Andre Drummond. I don't know if that's the best route there. Langston Galloway, if you did a package consisting of Jackson, Galloway, and then wait 2 months and include Tony Snell, the money actually works out pretty well. And then all of a sudden, Drummond, Blake, if Kennard can become a more consistent shooter, and Drummond, and Russ, that's a playoff team, I think, for sure. If not, maybe bordering on top half of the Eastern Conference. Then the Houston Rockets. They were a team linked by The Athletic from other executives. Here's the issue with a Russell Westbrook and the Rockets trade, is actually making it work. $38.5 million is, again, the number the Rockets have to get pretty close to here, in that range, to make the money actually work out, which you can include Chris Paul, but why would the Thunder do that? Unless you're getting a bunch of picks back from the Houston Rockets, and I mean a lot of picks, doesn't make much sense for the Thunder to take on a bigger contract for an older player. That's not the route that OKC wants to go. And then if Daryl Morey is fully convinced on his 3 stars unit, does a 3-star core of Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Chris Paul actually work? I don't think it really does in the end. So those are the 3 teams that were linked to Russ. I'm sure more will emerge. I'm sure there are tons that make sense, but I want to hear from you guys too. Who will trade for Russ? Let me know in the comments section. We'll give some shouts. I'm sure we'll have some Q&A, a lot of Q&A on this. We'll have a more in-depth look at teams that could trade for Russ further down the road on the channel here. But let us know in the comments section. I see LCB Texan fan says the Rockets. Zachary Zoran says the Magic. I actually like that one. I have to think about more how to trade would actually look there in the end, but I actually dig that one from the Magic side of things. I see Pistons, Rockets, Heat. I think Miami might be the favorite. They're maybe the most obvious sense to me. The Knicks they have to wait, though, down the road so they can trade their free agents there, so that's going to have to come in quite a ways from now. But if trade deadline Russ is still available, that does make some more sense. Rockets, I see. Orlando. Someone said Winslow. I think that might make more sense for the Thunder there. The Bucks, okay, I could see that. You include Eric Bledsoe. Okay, I don't mind that one there. Warriors, I don't know about that one there. Suns, Spurs. Oh, God, I'd love to see the Spurs. They have the guards if they want to try and make that work. Cavs in there. Phoenix. Basically, almost every NBA team linked in there. As for the Lakers, money doesn't work out. They can't pull that off, at least not right now. You'd have to wait a while, and they're not going to have $38 million in other contracts there in the end. But folks, keep those votes flowing here live on YouTube. Moving on to some other NBA rumors. Delon Wright, Dallas is preparing an offer sheet for him. I feel like we've heard that report before, but it was mentioned again last night by the Dallas Morning News. They said it was going to come in as soon as tonight. That did not happen, so now we play the waiting game as to when that will actually go through. A restricted free agent, the Grizzlies can match any offer that Dallas throws at Wright. They have the money if they want to make it work. They can go over the cap to do it there. He's a good defender, but he's not a great shooter, and it's almost like a super discount Patrick Beverley. A little under 9 points per game. He can defend, he can rebound, but he can pass the ball, but he's under 30% from deep. So, again, kind of like a super discount Patrick Beverley, which I guess kind of makes you closer to slightly poor man's current Lonzo Ball. Is that the right comparison there? So that's the Mavs in terms of their free agency targets. That seems to be their top main option there. Haven't done a whole lot. We'll come back to more about the Mavs here. But first, folks, we want to make sure you guys are subscribed. Over 1,000 live right now. We passed the 125K mark. We promised an awkward high five with me and Jimmy. So, right, Jimmy's not here. So we'll save that one for later, but make sure you guys are subscribed. Head over to youtube.com/chatsports. Or just hit the big red button. You're watching right now on YouTube, all about 1,000. So hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. Get us to 130K. That's the next figure. Now back to Dallas here. They don't plan to make major free agency moves, and I guess that Wright wouldn't qualify on that. That was the report from Tim McMahon. Now, I will make note, they are exploring the trade market right now, and they're going to hold off on re-signing players to keep their cap space open, which makes sense. That's what Dallas wanted to do all along. But look, they missed on Danny Green. They didn't bring in Marcus Morris. All they've done so far is sign Seth Curry and add Boban and re-sign their own guys, which is good. You want to re-sign your own players, but this is the current roster right now for Dallas. This is a disappointment, plain and simple. Like, yes, I like extending Dwight Powell. You got Kristaps back. Of course you were going to do that there. But this has been a poor job of the Dallas Mavericks maximizing what they had available this offseason. They had money to spend, and because they re-signed Dorian Finney-Smith and re-signed Maxey and extended Dwight Powell and other moves, after this offseason, that cap space is gone. It goes to the players that they re-signed. That's a bit of a red flag there. So if the Dallas Mavericks can't utilize that in terms of adding a trade or throwing money at right there, it's going to end up being a huge disappointment, and it's going to be a wasted opportunity for the Dallas Mavericks. So here's my question, whether you're a Mavs fan watching or not. Grade the Mavs free agency so far. Give it an A, B, C, D, or F. I'm not going to give it an F. I'm not going to give it an A either. This is in that C to D range right now. Like, they've made some good moves, but Dallas has blown opportunities to acquire other players. And if they don't use it this year, cap space ain't coming back next year. It's not like you can just roll it over like you can in the NFL. It's not how it works. And once they re-sign those players, they're going to be on the books next year. Kristaps' deal goes up in a big-time way. So I see mostly C's and D's in here. I see some G's too, which I guess is worse than an F. I guess. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think there in the comments. I think, though, the lower grades definitely have it here for Dallas. One of the players they had interest in, or at least were linked to, was Marcus Morris, but he is going to the San Antonio Spurs on a 2-year, $20 million deal. Now, make note, the Lakers and Mavs were also linked to him, but the Spurs kind of wanted some more forwards. Funny, the recent years they've been all in on adding guards. This year it's all in on adding forwards, as they re-signed Rudy Gay, they had DeMarre Carroll, now they add Marcus Morris as well. So a 2-year, $20 million deal for Morris. The Lakers had some interest there. In the end, the Spurs used their MLE to bring in Marcus Morris. I don't know if he starts for the Spurs. I do think he plays some quality minutes along with Carroll, along with Gay. Probably more at the 4 this year. I can't really throw him in there as the 5, but it does make some sense there. All right, folks, question for you guys. Are you an East Coast or a West Coast fan? I will make note, I was going to make a terrible joke about Westbrook and West and how it was a pun, but producer Tad pushed this one back later on, so I couldn't make my terrible pun. So you're welcome, I think, is what Tad is trying to say there. So East Coast or West Coast, early votes favor the West Coast. I've lived on both. As a sports fan, it's not even close. West Coast is awesome. The West Coast is the best coast for sports. Like, you roll up out of bed Saturday morning, boom, college football's already on. Roll up out of bed Sunday, maybe a little bit later. If you want to stay up later, that's fine, cool. NFL's on. Now, it does make it kind of tricky there in the end because all of a sudden you are stuck in a weird scenario where if you have to get up like 8 a.m. on the East Coast, doesn't really work very well for the West Coast there. But I like the West Coast solely for sporting events. It works so well there on that front in terms of maximizing your time and everything there. So I like the West Coast there. East Coast's cool too. Right now I'm in the Central Time Zone in Dallas, which is fine as well. But I'm definitely a West Coast. Now this has suddenly become a Tupac or Biggie debate, which I'm also very much fine with in the chat. So keep that going there. I think the West won though in the end. And you could actually watch Hawaii football games, which is so tough to do on the East Coast. All right, back to the Spurs here. They also pulled off a 3-team sign-and trade that allowed them to sign Marcus Morris because they traded for DeMarre Carroll, shipped out Davis Bertans to the Wizards, and the Nets got 2 random overseas dumps, the latter of whom I am not even going to try to pronounce his name. They did get DeMarre Carroll in that process there. It was a different trade, so they actually extended DeMarre Carroll to a 3-year, $21 million deal, shipped out Bertans. He is now on the Wizards there. So I do kind of like where the Spurs, this decision there too. By trading away Bertans, they basically got Marcus Morris. I like him. Wizards take a flyer there, but in the end, I think it was a better fit for the Spurs. So here's their current lineup. Again, pretty heavy on the guards. Murray, White, Mills, Walker. They'll all play big minutes. DeMar DeRozan will play plenty of the three. Jakob Poeltl is going to be your center because there really isn't a whole lot else out there. Also, by the way, RIP, my Boogie Cousins to the Spurs dream. Not going to happen there. But Kerr will play plenty of big minutes. Maybe not big minutes. Gay will play more. Marcus Morris will play more as well. But again, this was the three-team trade that might have slid under your guys' radar. Carroll to the Spurs, part of a sign-and trade. Bertans to Wizards, and the Nets pick up some random, for lack of a better word, draft and stash players in White and ND. All right, folks, giveaway for you guys from our friends over at MyBookie. Head over to chatsports.com/NBA now. Use promo code CHATNBA for a 100% deposit bonus. Again, that is chatsports.com/NBA now. Use promo code CHATNBA. That gets you a 100% deposit bonus. And after you guys sign up and deposit, place your first bet by email and then email promo at chatsports.com. That is at chatsports.com. We'll get you guys hooked up with a free NBA jersey. Maybe you want a Kawhi jersey. He's now with the Clippers if you're a Clippers fan out there. But that's how you do it there. And again, that is chatsports.com/NBA now. Use promo code CHATNBA and then email promo at chatsports.com. Speaking of the Clippers here, they have re-signed Ivica Zubac, the center. He's coming back on a 4-year, $28 million deal. He emerged, by the way, as LAC's starting center after the Lakers gave him up and Michael Beasley for Mike Muscala, who is now a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Jerry West obviously won that deal. It'll have him also go over the cap to re-sign him. Once he got to the Clippers, by the way, he averaged almost 9.5 points per game, just under 8 rebounds, and 1.5 assists in about 20 minutes. Once he got to the Clippers, that was an increase over his numbers throughout the season with both the Clippers and the Lakers. That came in about 9 and 6. So Zubac was better with the Clippers than he was with the Lakers. I think he had a little more playing time as well. And now he's their center. And again, I saw someone ask for it in the comments. We were going to do it anyway. The Clippers' current lineup. Someone on Twitter told me the Clippers traded away their core to get Paul George, and they have no depth, which I thought is insane. It doesn't make any sense to me. This is a damn good squad, guys. Beverly, Shamet, Kawhi, George, and Zubac. That's your starting five. And oh, by the way, you happen to have two of the best bench players in the NBA in reigning sixth man Lou Williams and a top 3 finalist for Sixth Man of the Year, Montrezl Harrell, and Ronnie Magruder, and former first-round pick Jerome Robinson, and Mo Harkless, and a first-round pick this year in your backup center at FSU. Clippers, folks, have a very, very good squad. That's kind of why they are the current betting favorites to win the NBA title this upcoming season. So here's my question for you. Who will win an NBA title first, the Clippers or the Lakers? Type C for the Clippers, L for the Lakers. Let us know in the comment section here. Give some shout-outs to people who come in. Speak the truth. First comment in says Clippers here, by the way. Chris says Clippers. Matt says Clippers. After High School Show, Jackie says L. Okay, now it's all coming in way too fast for me to actually read off here. Thank you all very much. It's actually pretty close. I think the C's have it, but that's maybe 55-45 there. So keep those votes flowing here. Melody, Dwayne, Mark, Quasimodo, Woke Fitness, Angel, H. Dins, Zakai, Zion still watching, Tom Netherlands also still watching. He's changing name now to Tom USA after today's soccer match. But there you go, folks. Keep those votes flowing. One last signing I want to mention here. We'll spend a little bit less time on it because it's only Stanley Johnson. A 2-year, $7.5 million deal. Now, the second year of this contract does have a player option. And with Kawhi leaving the Toronto Raptors, well, now Johnson has, I'll emphasize, a chance here to earn minutes on the Raptors roster. Now, I don't think he's going to start for Toronto. I think OG Anunoby makes a lot more sense there. But with Kawhi gone, you got a full game's worth of starters' minutes to fill. And you also lost Danny Green. Now, maybe they also bring back Patrick McCaw. That's not done yet. I would bet that they would, but we'll see. I think Johnson comes in off the bench. Maybe he finally capitalizes on the potential that everyone has liked so much for so many teams. In reality, he's probably more of an 8th or 9th man for the Raptors, but if he can give you some decent minutes during the regular season, that's probably a good sign. And frankly, if you're Toronto, you're banking hard on Pascal Siakam being your guy going forward anyway. So Johnson to the Toronto Raptors on a 2-year, $7.5 million deal. And here's my question for you. Where were you guys when Kawhi picked the Clippers and then also Paul George got traded all at once at like 2 a.m. Eastern time? Where were you guys? And if you were asleep, let me know how you guys found out. I was asleep, by the way. I was dead to the world, out asleep in my bed. Then I got up at 5 a.m. here in Dallas, let my puppy out. And then all of a sudden I look down at my phone and I see like 800 slacks from Tad and Harrison and everyone, and like 18 tweets and all that. And I'm like, what on earth happened? Frankly, I was still kind of thought I was dreaming, honestly. I'm like, wait, what? Is in that kind of blurry stage, you know? I see people, a lot of people were sleeping there. A lot of people were playing video games. Respect, I like that. Someone was playing 2K there. Thank you for bleeping yourselves as well there as well, folks. So a lot of inappropriate ones coming in that I cannot read on air there, folks. But let me know in the comment section where you guys were when Kawhi picked the Clippers.